Welcome back to sociology. I wanted to talk a little bit about socialization today and also do a brief introduction into deviance. And the reason I'm going to tie deviance a bit into this discussion is because socialization is really all about conformity. And that seems kind of like a weird thing to say. It seems strange to think that most of what people do every day is conforming to things that they've learned. I know when I was a young sociology student, I was intrigued by the idea of deviance. I really wanted to find out why people did things that were not the norm. But as I've deepened my study about sociology, I've come to find that a lot of sociology is the study of how we conform to groups that are around us. Now, even though I'm using the word conformity, it doesn't mean that sometimes we don't conform to nonconformist groups, or that we can also conform to deviant subcultures. But let's take a step back and talk about early socialization. Our primary agent of socialization is our family. And our family teaches us the ways to get along in the culture to which we were born. Now that's going to vary for each one of us, because even though we all subscribe to the big picture, the American culture, each of our families have unique and distinct cultures within themselves. And some of that culture is related to our ethnicity. It may be related to our religious or spiritual beliefs. And there might be just things historically in our family that are a part of our culture. Those favorite dishes that we make, the way we celebrate holidays, birthdays, the way we grieve. All of these things are things that we learn about within our family. And they're little microcultures that we learn to conform to. So our family teaches us the way to behave in our family, as well as teaches us the kind of bigger picture. How do we behave in society? Now, after early childhood, we have the school to help us with that a lot too. And the school helps impose more formal rules. It's oftentimes one of our first experiences with bureaucracy or an institution. A hierarchical structure. The school does teach us a lot about how to get along in society, and it teaches us conformity, how to follow those rules in the school, how to do the academics that are being taught. So school, again, is a lot about conformity. In fact, there's very little there's very little in educational teaching about deviance. The family is another matter. The family can teach us deviant subcultures along the way. So, but the school not so much. Of course, our peer group is a major agent of socialization. Our peers teach us to conform inside the smaller picture, the small group of peers that we might have. That again is like a microculture. It probably varies from our family culture, which is built on tradition and our ancestors and things like that. The peer culture is one that's contemporary and kind of being formed right in the moment. Another agent of socialization, which is huge, particularly in this time in society, is the mass media. And I know we haven't talked a lot about postmodern theory in this class. I've given you some reading. I know that there hasn't been a lot of utilization of the postmodern theory, but I want to take a moment to think about the effect of the mass media on our understanding about the world. The mass media can teach us very quickly and in a visual manner the things that are important in our society. And it's done almost entirely through observation. When we're watching TV, we don't necessarily see somebody telling us the way the culture should be. Sometimes we're just observing behavior and we're learning about it. So the mass media is a very important method of socialization. And the postmodern theory teaches us that technology and consumer culture and mass communications can have profound impact on our life. So another agent of socialization is religion. We learn through religion, or the church, we learn through religion other parts of our culture. So it is another major agent of socialization. Once again, in that setting, we are learning to act consistently with other people. We're learning to conform. And give some thought to other institutions in our society. Things like politics and economics. Those are all institutions that they socialize us. So when you think, we do have major agents of socialization, but we are really products of socialization at all times. Socialization is not just limited to childhood. Socialization extends far beyond that. Every day we are going through the process of socialization and re-socialization, not just initial socialization. We may know the culture, but for someone of my age, the culture that I learned back from my family isn't really the most relevant culture of today. Like, for example, I was born just past the space age. I was born during the Cold War. There was a lot of things that I learned about the world that are not relevant to today. And I've had to learn a lot of things over the course of my life, like how to understand technology and its place in our society. Whereas there's plenty of you, I'm sure, in this class who technology and computers have been a part of your entire socialization experience. Think about socialization as it relates to our two reader articles. Socialization and the Power of Advertising obviously is a direct reference to the mass media as a socializing agent. And then Invisible Privilege also teaches us how we're socialized into race and class experiences. And I want to encourage you to think about our major sociological theories in relationship to these articles. In fact, each of the theories can be used on each of the articles. So there is no right theory to use on any of these. And in fact, I mentioned postmodern theory. Postmodern theory is applicable to both of those reader articles as well.